Namaste, my friends. My spirit honors your spirit. Transversing the multi-dimensional, multi-universe is something which has been part of a greater part of my life. I have been many places, many different times, many different experiences. Some extremely beautiful that a bucket full of the most sweetest tears I've ever had, and also to the most graphic horrors that would make the most profound murder mystery writer or horror writer on this planet cringe in absolute total fear. And yet, what predominantly do I see? I see many hundreds of different species and different cultures and different civilizations on different planets, sometimes moons, sometimes even asteroids, space stations, and collections and combinations of all. However, predominantly it is fascinating, it is very illuminating to the fact that we are not alone. We have never been alone. For anyone to say we are alone doesn't necessarily live under a box, but they live under the box, which is under another box, which is under another box, which is under another box, which is marked do not disturb. Okay? Because even if you see in the corner here, this is a much older text of the King James. If you read it very, very closely, there is many technical examples of visitations of different life, each according to their own purpose, methods, and meanings and functions. Some better, some worse, some, oh please get another job. Okay, but we're not alone. We've never been alone. We've are part of this incredibly great collective of different types of species in the living multi-dimensional multi-universe. Now, people are going to say, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean of living multi-dimensional multi-universe? Well, in my videos on groovyev on YouTube, the ancient spirit Trolaka, who works with other off-world beings to bring me information and also to aid and take me places sometimes. Sometimes it is more of angelic manners that is taking me to different places. However, the fact remains the same that the people, or rather beings on different worlds, are all having different experiences within the living multi-dimensional universe, and the different worlds, those more profoundly that are higher in vibratory and higher in their personal so quote unquote evolution, their process of becoming better. They have a understanding that the universe is alive. It is not a singular being in gray hair, which is a metaphor, by the way, but it is a concept of understanding that within the fabric of the living multi-dimensional multi-universe, within the very fabric of even the dark space, even the dark energies, there is life. And that life itself within all, when you compress, when you pull all that stuff apart, that is considered sacred. That is considered the living aspect. And they understand it also for the relevance that in different times and many worlds, in different times of the ages, through the process of the life of a universe, because there are many universes, which I talk about in the videos through the ancient spirit Trolaka, that beings are set forth from this very inner concept of what they understand is the living universe, to show forth the to the people, these beings are sent forth to help the people from destroying themselves, to help guide them into a better way of living through a better understanding. Although sometimes the people are rather more confused than help, and well, you know, here on Earth, sometimes a little bit of wrongful help is worse than no help whatsoever, because people get all these weird ideas, and then of course then you get these more weird ideas, and people are drinking poison Kool-Aids and thinking they're going to write on a comet and so forth. Anyhow, that's a wholly different story. But the universe in itself, the living multi-dimensional multi-universe, is alive, and it's always doing a variable of three things: creating a new universe, maintaining a universe, or rebuilding a universe because it has been destroyed. All right, now this it sounds like four, but it's actually three. All right, and within those different avenues are the individual planets, are the individual galaxies, solar systems, cosmos, and the greater expanses that are dealt with when it comes to their aging and their experiences and their times of being around. All right, now there isn't one evil, there isn't one entity in the entire multi-dimensional multi-universe which orchestrates all evil. That is just wrong. It's a lie. Because I tell you from fact, from my own witnessing of being in these different worlds, that there are many, many, many different evils. And they're not related to each other. They're not listening to the same boss. It isn't a union. All right? They are individuals, all with their own individual criteria, their own ideas of what they're going to do. And within them, there isn't all everybody, okay, we're all evil, we're all going to do this, blah, blah, blah. No, because they're evil, because they believe they don't have no living light within them, which is another lie. Because they actually believe that, they feel that they must consume any other society or planet and so forth that has the light, because they're being left out, so to speak, if you crack it into layman terminologies, really cracking it down. All right, now this is a very interesting thing, because the living universe, this universe alone that we're in, there's a lot of pockets of pure evil. I'll tell you, right out flat, there's a lot of pockets of just plain pure evil. All right? It's kind of like going blindfolded through a minefield that you didn't know was there, and yet you have to navigate. This is a lot of sections of this particular universe, which is though very massive, though it has quite a few pockets of unsettled territories which are being controlled, so to speak, by evil regimes, by evil dictators, by evil demigods who, quite frankly, hey, get a real job, okay, you bum? All right, this is my aspect and how I think about them, and it's got to me in trouble in some of my off-world, out-of-body experiences because of my Wisconsinite mannerism of just saying it like it is. I don't care if you're a demigod, you're still a bum. Oh, crap. I shouldn't have said that. All right? However, there is a lot of beauty. There are a lot of different races. Not all of them are pure human as we see in this form. No, the old pinky skin or dark skin or beige skin or tan skin or glow in the dark skin. Regardless, it's still humanoid. Humanoid. All right. but there are lots of variabilities of that. Some of them has some draconian features, some have reptilian features, some have draco-reptilian humanoid features, some have draco-human features, some have the Zarian human features. But well, let's just say they're still way down the road down there, you know, because they got anger management problems when it comes to reality a lot of times, and they tend to bite, chew, stab, and shoot before the brain cells are put into gear, which means, yeah, probably another 500,000 years before we start doing some unilateral bonding with them, per se. Might be longer, might be closer to 1,000,000 years, because they're long ways in the coming yet. But there's also spider beings, and which are very unique, because most of the spider beings really despise humanoids. They really think we are the inferior species. Not only because we only have 2 arms and 2 legs. Well, hey, hold a second. That is most of the reason, because we don't have 8. We have 2 of these and 2 of those, but only 2 of these for doing things around, where they can do things with all 8. However, there are a few species of spider humanoids, and normally, you know, those there, you know, they have 2 legs, more as of like humanoid, but they'll have 6 arms, very perfectly proportioned and extremely strong, kind of like The Rock, you know, the wrestler, you know, and the action figure and so forth. Very, very strong, but their IQ level would even make predominantly even Einstein a fan of theirs, because they are that much smarter. Okay, but let us continue. Let us talk about grays. Okay, there are short grays, really short grays. Grays yay high. Then you get the mid-tall grays. The mid-tall grays, now you have generally around between 4 to 5 feet. Normally, some can get 6, but normally about 4 to 5 feet-ish. There are earth grays. They've never really been much in space. They were genetic engineered here on this planet, and they are under, a lot of them right now are under the employment of the different aspects of the hidden governments. All right, and by the way, they don't like that, because they want to go do their own thing, but they're not being allowed. They are being kept as forced servants of labor. Read between the lines. But the question is, do earth grays have a soul? I'll tell you about that later in a different video. But then there are the mid-gray, the mid-tall grays, which a lot of people recognize from movies and from people who have had alien abductions. There are many hundreds and hundreds of variations of the mid-tall grays. These predominantly are evil, self-serving, egotistical, get a life, get a real job. My God, how many tens of hundreds of thousands and millions of years can you do the same thing and still think you're on top, though you are still doing exactly the same thing? You have not bettered yourself at all. Those type of grays, those hundreds of different variations of species, hey, you're a bum, get a job, go to school, get a wife, good looking wife, or one that's a good cook, or both, whichever. However, there are many hundreds of different species of those. What? Yes, and some of them, not many, but there are a few species of those mid-tall grays who are proportioned male or female, though not common. This here was a later experiment. This actually dates back about 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 160,000 years per se in solar years. So the math is a little bit weird in that, okay? However, then there are the tall grays. The tall grays predominantly are very evil in their own ways. Are they the devil? No. Do they serve the devil as taught in unlimited scripture? No. However, are they serving an evil nemesis, so to speak, who wants to control things because they believe that everything is their petri dish to do as they please? Yes. The most varieties of the very tall grays need to be kept at a distance. They are masters of illusions, and in later videos I will teach you how to look past that illusion to be able to see who is really beyond that. Okay? But then we also have the beings from the Procyon system. The Procyon system, interestingly enough, is quite a crackerjack box of different varieties. Though predominantly reptilian, they are also predominantly humanoid in form. 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 1 head. All right. Some of them are unisex, some of them are non-sex, some of them are individual, male and female, and some, okay, for you guys, yeah, some of them have 4 breasts instead of 2. All right, but that's a whole different matter and a whole different explanation in a whole different video. All right, and I'll explain why at the present, at that particular time. Okay, but the other thing is Procyon, there are Procyon reptilian living in the pockets of Earth. I believe in 2 pockets of Earth. Very advanced civilizations. They would love very much to help us. They really would. I've been visited by them numerous times. And they would like very much to interact on the open surface, including sales and helping in manufacturing of better quality stuff that would help us fix this planet and solve all of the pollution problems and so forth and so forth. But the hidden governments, primarily the hidden evil agenda governments of the United States per se, they don't want nothing to do with that because they need a dictatorship, which they're trying to move America into a pure socialist state, which is borderlining on already, so they can ultimately control. But they have masters too. But getting back to the Procyon reptilians, they are green. A lot of times between 6 and 7 feet tall. They can appear as a humanoid. It's an illusion. It's a simple mind trick for them. And they're able to start understanding that already when their children are only 3 years old. They can already start mastering. So do the math. How long does it take the average human without anybody interfering to figure out how to ride a bike? All right? Or to figure out without anybody else helping how to better themselves in life. See the imbalance there? They have much to offer us. However, for you guys and some of you ladies, you might be thinking, I wonder what type of lover they are. Actually, when they perceive themselves as a humanoid before you, you would be quite impressed. But on the other hand, you have to understand why. All right, why would they be doing this? Why would they be offering you something that is such extraordinary? This has to be looked into, and you have to be able to understand, be able to look beyond the illusion upon which you are seeing. That you're thinking, is this real or is this not? When you start saying, is this not? Then it's like, well, I need to be able to look behind this. But I will be doing an exclusive video exactly upon that point in upon itself, okay? Now, this planet has been through many cycles. The earliest settlers on this planet were the Lemurians. per se. The Lemurians were before Atlantis. Was Atlantis real? Absolutely. I had numerous lifetimes on Atlantis. I talk about it exclusively on my YouTube videos through the aspect of the ancient spirit Tralaka, who gives me this unique vantage point from a distance to be able to see things without interfering. All right. Atlantis was a beautiful culture. It came from Atlantis was unique because Atlantis was different species commingling into a single civilization of a colony. This was something new in the time frame of which upon it was here. All right. You know, because some of them were from the Pleiades, some of them were from I'll remember it in a second. Some of them were from Vega, some of them were from the Aldebaran system, and so forth. My videos, I could write more chapters about Atlantis, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. All right. But the Lyra system, the Vega system, and predominantly the Pleiadians were substantially the settlers of Atlantis. Predominantly looking very humanoid with a little bit, some of them had a little bit of draconian features in them. Sometimes it's with the nose, sometimes it's more with the ears, or a little bit longer neck, or bigger eyes, or a little bit of the certain types of reptilian features on the head or on the backs of the arms and so forth. But these were ideal. Now these here, let me change that. These different beings, they wanted to settle Earth because at that time there was so much uproar in that part of this particular part of the universe. Is they wanted to try something new, they wanted to start over, and so multi-species, multicultural, and it was beautiful. The technology was beautiful, but as time went on Earth, they decided that they wanted less to do with their relatives in space, and they just wanted to be here on Earth, to be Earthlings. And so more and more of that old technology, which was extremely advanced, got left behind, and they became more as Earthlings. But this didn't go on forever, because then religion was brought to Earth. Religion was brought to Earth by the Greys to be able to control them. They have used religion as an aspect upon itself to control species by injecting certain aspects of fear. Is God real? Absolutely. However, God is love. The fabric within the actual living dimensional multi-universe is love. That very finest aspect of energy is love itself. Everything else is an illusion, and a variation of illusion, and a distraction from the illusion of the illusion from the other illusions. However, that was brought in, and more Atlanteans fell prey to this, to these shape-shifting mid-tall Greys who were blending in and creating these cults, which was, we would see as religions nowadays, and more was lost to about their real heritage. All right. But then, as I told in the videos, there was a group of those who said, no, this is wrong. We want to go home. We want to go back home to that planet within the Pleiadian star systems, multi-systems rather. We want to go back home. And little did most of them did not realize that, yeah, there were a couple loyalists who had actually kept the technology hidden. That is vast motherships hidden, and on a long night, through much secret meetings, they traveled through the jungles of the island that was Atlantis, and I talk about it exclusively in the videos on this exact location, factual location, viewed by my very own eyes from a spaceship coming down to Earth. Okay, now it's important to understand that these beings, they left Earth. 3 motherships of what would be considered as actual Atlanteans left Earth before the uproar, before the intergalactic war that they got suckered into, before the sinking of Atlantis in 3 parts. Alright, some parts of Atlantis are still up. There's remnants of the Atlantis actually in the Caribbean. Alright, there is actually still remnant little island parts in the Caribbean, and little offshoots on the lower part of the Gulf of Mexico. Alright, and the islands therefore. Just like Lemuria, there are still parts of Lemuria that are still above the water. Alright, and those there would be parts of remnants of little islands which are in the Marshall Islands and the Fuji Islands in the deep Pacific. Alright, those are actually there. The energies are still there. If you know where to find them, you will find the Lemurian energies in the crystals, and you may be able to unlock them to have the story unfold before your very eyes. Alright, so this has been a little bit of an introduction. I am Edward H. Praber. I go under the writing name of groovyev. The ancient spirit Trolaka is both part of me and is also part of the ancient timeline. It's a very complicated thing. A lot of this was brought about by another video I'll explain to you about that 2-week coma I was in, and those ceremonies which had occurred in that rather graphic out-of-body experience that lasted for 2 full weeks. Alright? Until next time, you take care of yourselves. Learn as much as you can, which is factual. Learn. Remember. Because when you truly remember, you unlock mysteries that you will understand that you felt that has been so eluding you. But when you start remembering truly who you really are and where you come from in the different points of the multi-dimensional, multi-universe, which brings up an interesting guy, by the way, of Josh Hayes. Very interesting video. There's only 2 beings on this planet. I thought there was only 1, but there are 2 beings on this planet which are not actually from this particular universe. Josh Hayes is the first one. His inner spirit. That was a very fascinating information I was brought from the ancient spirit Trolaka on the ancient past lives of Josh Hayes. He's a very unique person. I send my heart out to you, Josh. There, you're a very dynamic person, and perhaps sometimes we'll talk again. But until then, everybody, this is groovyev. Good night.